Yeah. We have this method over here. What is it doing? Creating an object of vital sign, adding it to the array list. What is it returning?
Vital sign.
So what is it returning? A null value or an object?
An object.
Object, right? So what do we get over here?
An object.
So what do we assign in VS?
An object. But the values will be.
Values will be null. But we have an entire object assigned, right? So you won't get a null pointer exception at least.
Okay, but the value will be null.
Yeah, so
And
default value.
And if we are setting that vs dot set temperature is equal to, we are adding to null value, aren't
We are not adding it to null. We don't have null values, we have default values.
Okay.
When you create an object, it assigns default values to the primitive data type attributes. Okay? Let me know if I am wrong somewhere. If someone knows something and I am going wrong. Okay? I might not be correct as well. Good? All good here? Shall we proceed to view frame? Yeah.
So for int and double, the default value will be 0.
Yeah. So for double it would be 0.0. Yeah. And for int it would be 0. Alright? We have this view frame. Now starts our main part, JTable. How do we populate it? What is a JTable? So JTable is nothing but a container, right? You can see it over here. In swing controls, we have a table, right? Just drag and drop that, it will design a JTable for you. If you go through the video, they would have shown you how to do that, right? We have assigned a name for it, vital sign tab, table, right? We have details button, we have delete button. So when I click on the view button, this frame would appear. So what should I see? Can you repeat?
The objects or the fields which we added in the create panel, we can see it here.
So only one?
multiple.
All the entire array list, right? We want to view the entire array list inside this table. So where that needs to be done? What part of the entire code of view panel? Where would you do it?
Details.
Constructor. Details.
Is it details?
When we submit it in the first.
Yeah, so you submit on view button, right? You just click on view button, the view panel opens up. View panel is opening up, but where would I set the code which will directly on loading of the page show me the
In
details?
the
The
component, where the component is in, frame is in panel.
Constructor.
Constructor.
Constructor, right? Because that's the initial start point of any panel, right? So you do that in the constructor, you see this populate table method. Let's see what does that populate table method do. We have this populate table. So how do you access that table that you have dropped? The class for it is default table model. Okay? This class gives you all the dimensions and everything of the table. Right? The first thing that we have to do is get the model of the table. You can change the model if you want. You can just right click onto the source, table, properties, and you can change everything. Or you can, in table contents, you can directly specify how many columns do you want, how many rows do you want, right? And that's what you get in the model, right? How many rows, how many columns do you have, right? So we get the model, store it in DTM, right? We set the row count as 0. What if we don't set the row count as 0 first? What would happen? Any ideas? what can happen? You guys have seen the video, you should know this. It will just get appended to the already existing content of the table. We already have 4 rows. The append would start from the 5th row. The first 4 rows would come blank. Right? Getting it? Do you want me to demo that to you? Remind me to do that later on. Okay? Because we need to finish this. Right? Then comes the for each loop that we just saw. For vital sign VS inside the entire vital sign history, VSH. Right? Why do we do VSH dot get vital sign list?
All the contents of the list.
Will return the list of.
Yeah, every.
So VSH is just an object of class vital sign history,
Yeah.
right? It is not the list itself. We need the list. Earlier, to access the address object inside person, we used to do person.getAddress. Similarly, we will do vital sign history.get vital sign list. Vital sign list is just the attribute for the class vital sign history, right? So inside the entire list, object class. So for example, what is an object class? You create objects, right? Daily. Person equal to new person. You create it blindly. Do you know which class does it extend by default? The class object, the Java class object. It is already defined. Any object that you create is of type object, right? So there comes the part upcasting and downcasting. You have the array of objects, object row, right, of size 2, y2. How many columns do we have here?
2.
2, right? So when you type this in, when you write the code, each column is considered as a row, right? Each column is considered as a row and not a row, right? So you have entire row of 0, row of 1, sorry, each row but 0, 1 columns, similar to an array, starts with 0, ends at length minus 1. This is row, let me show this to you here. Yeah, you see this? Row of 0, row of 1 on the image on the right. So each row has columns 0, 1, 2 and so on. So the number of columns you want, you can get those, or you can write that over here, right? The number of columns you have in the J table. First column we assign VS. What is VS?
Object.
It's an object, right?
Object.
Why do we assign object? We have to assign values, right? Why to assign an object?
We have multiple values in object. We want to display it.
Yeah, so when you want to perform operations, how do you know on which object are we performing the operations? We are not going to search it via the details, right?
Index.
Yes. So what happens is we store the entire object at index 0 of the row. Okay? Getting this? Any doubts? Make this clear in your minds. We assign the entire object inside this, inside the 0th column or the cell. For example, this is 0, 0, the first one. We assign the entire object in the cell 0, 0. Okay? We need to override this toString, right? Every object has or if you say the object class has a toString method, you might have done sometimes .toString, right? Someone might have tried it. So where does that toString come from? So implicitly, if you want to write this, you override the toString method of the object class and you will get the data that you want to print. If you don't override it, you see this, we override this method, you see this at override, you have to write this. That's an annotation which says to the compiler that this particular method is something that I am overriding. Execute this part of code instead of what you have been doing till now, right? For the same named method, right? Following everything? If you don't do this, what happens?
The default method will be called.
So it will display the address of the object and not the value. Okay? Do we want to see the address of the object? No, right? We want to see the value. So that's the reason we override this. I will keep this commented right now so that I can show you how the address is displayed, right?